Also coming up later on in the program, 8 o'clock hour, Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, will join us to get his picks for the weekend. And, well, it's not going well for me in the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. We're heading for an epically bad year for me. Preston Thorne, on the other hand, is making that run to possibly getting his name on the Corley Pool Solutions trophy.
Don't look back, Reggie. That's all I'm going to say.
Where is that trophy right now?
It's at my house. Where else should it be?
When you did not win last year, it's been sitting at your house for, 9 months now.
That's true. Both you and me are extremely lazy people because the trophy sat right out there for about 5 months for you to take and drop off.
It wasn't my job to do that. I got the trophy actually made and created and picked up and brought here.
So
I thought it was your turn.
All right, ready? We're going to have a family argument here. So you saying you would constantly take it and drop it off, and then me saying I'll do it. It just never made it there. That's my fault, me saying it, but also weren't you the one that was initially supposed to take it and have Reggie's name put on it after?
I'm not the full-time employee.
After Reggie showed up pretty much on your invite probably and came strutting through those doors.
No, that was his.
A little over a year ago. So
that was his deal. It was pretty fun, actually.
It was fun. That's why the trophy's in my house now. So we will get that.
You don't worry, sir. I'm 2 points behind, and I can guarantee you if I win,
you'll get the trophy taken care of.
I will drive to your house and get it.
We'll try and get that done. 803-404-6100. We now exit the family arguing portion of the show and go back to sports talk. We'll get into some Dow Loggains coming up next. Some things that Preston wants to weigh in, and we'll get in on all that. 803-404-6100 if you want to be a part of the program this morning. You're listening to The Early Game.
Hey, this is Jen. They say perfection is a journey, and our journey led us in an update to our bathroom in our house, and that led us to Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. With the renovations that we did to that bathroom, we replaced the cabinet and, of course, kind of needed a countertop. We were referred to Carolina Stone Craftsman. I'm telling you, we were very impressed. We felt right at home right away, toured their outstanding showroom, learned all about the marble and granite and quartz that they have, how it's sculpted with truly the highest craftsmanship. It's such a family valued place. The results, absolutely professional. And there was so much to choose from. They were very helpful in us figuring out what it was that we needed. And it was a great process from visiting the showroom, selecting the granite, the installation. The whole process was wonderful. If you are in the market for countertops for your kitchen or bath, I encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman. Of course, tell them Jen Jensen sent you. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia in Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com. So far, it doesn't appear that we have any accidents to report. That's wonderful news, but do be careful. There is some patchy dense fog out there, so low beam headlights are what would be recommended for safe travels. Passing clouds, 84 today, some clouds tomorrow, 86. By the weekend, man, great game day, 88 for the high on Saturday, 90 on Sunday. So good forecast on the way, and fall isn't quite here yet. It's, again, foggy, 69 on the early game.
.616 as we get you up here on your Thursday morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen as we roll along here, starting, to me, the weekend, getting you up and getting you going for the weekend, because tonight we got football. And then we get Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer, 6 o'clock again tonight. You can tune in right here to 107.5 The Game, Shane Beamer and Todd Ellis. And maybe we'll hear something a little more definitive, Preston, on Lenore Sellers for the weekend. Did you say you were joining me on this? Lenore is not playing this weekend?
It feels like it's trending in that direction. It feels like, we haven't had a definite yes. So anytime I don't hear a definite yes, I'm going to assume that it's a no.
So let's hear Dow Loggains' take. Does he expect Lenore Sellers to play? How does he handle this question, being he is not the head coach and maybe he needs to tiptoe around it? This is Dow Loggains yesterday in the coordinator press conferences on whether he expects Lenore Sellers to play.
I'm expecting for him to do a little bit more tomorrow than he did today. That's what those are my expectations. Same way what we're telling him, get better each day. Same thing with your health. Make sure you're doing everything in your power. Everything in your power, spending extra hours getting ready to play a game. So it's not only just for you, but it's also how you set the standard of when you are nicked up or banged up on how we perform and how we train and how we do things. So because everyone's watching how the starting quarterback gets ready. So his job right now, and it's been very clear, when you have free time, when you're not in class and you're not doing those things, get your butt in the training room and you set the standard for how you attack this rehab.
The question was over here, and Dow Loggains went right. It's a left turn. Do you expect him to play?
I would like to turn my trend to he's not playing after that answer. I would like to make an even stronger forecast based on what he said on that answer. I'm not.
Hold on. Let's just get the beginning of that, because it's like Dow Loggains offers a tease. I expect practice. Listen again to the very beginning.
I'm expecting for him to do a little bit more tomorrow than he did today.
There you go.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all, Dow? Aren't we all just expecting us to do a little bit more? tomorrow than we did today. That's just called getting 1% better. I understand everything that he's just trying to say. We don't know what the status is. We don't know what the injury is. From that sound, it sounds as if he probably should not be playing on Saturday.
I'll also just say this. It couldn't have come at a better week for him to be injured where they didn't have to release an injury report.
It's true.
Last night. Now, they don't have to next week, and it'll be in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday, they'll have to actually release an injury report that we'll know more about Lenore Sellers. But, again, a situation there, you're right. I think it's well known down there. Robbie Ashford, I've seen some of the rumors about, is he in a cast?
We back to cast watching again?
We're back to reliable versus what was the other one?
Insider,
yeah.
Sources, reliable sources, in the building.
What was the other one? Reliable and anonymous. I can't remember now. All our terms.
We ranked them. Yeah, we did. We did do a ranking today. Yeah, that doesn't sound good, and I have no inside information to know. But just hearing that evasive answer, that doesn't bode great for Lenore Sellers playing.
And the downside to that, obviously, is he just needs the work. He just needs to get out there. Every game he plays, every in-game rep he takes, I think, is another step forward for him, and that's what hurts the most about him not playing, and if he does not. Now, it will be interesting. Now, one thing about Dow Loggains, do you want to go with third down struggles here? Because that is an area that they've got to get fixed.
Well, before we get to the third down struggles, if we're going under the assumption or based on what he said that Lenore Sellers is not playing, let's hear what Dow Loggains said, and this is clip number 1. Let's hear what he had to say about calling plays with Robbie Ashford.
And there's some similarities with him and Lenore's, but there's also there's a difference in between the two as well. So you play his strengths. When you're the backup quarterback, you don't get every rep that Lenore's gets during the week. So you also have to have intelligent, smart backups that can play with limited reps. It was there's a premium in the NFL. Like, one of the questions we'd ask when we start going through these guys that you start drafting in the 4th through 7th round, like, are they smart? Can they learn without a lot of reps? So then you look at the reps you've had during the week with him. So when he gets in there, you're doing things that he's done that week, because they're just the way it is. Like, he's not going to get every rep. He's not going to get every look as the backup that Lenore's gets. So there are certain plays that get marked off the call sheet right away.
Are those plays the ones where he throws the ball?
Well, he is who he is at this point in his career.
Dow said that there's certain plays that get marked off the call sheet, and I want to know if those are the passing plays.
Yes, the majority of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because
his legs are fine. All the run plays stay the same.
Because he said, well, there's some similarities and there's 8 difference. Well, the similarities is that, yes, they can both run. The difference is Robbie Ashford is not very proficient in the passing game. And that's going to change the way that Dow Loggains, I'm assuming, calls plays.
I think the one thing, and I was just kind of rewatching a quick set of highlights from Saturday. I think with Robbie Ashford, the 3 best passes he's thrown this year have kind of been improvised on the move. You can't ask him to sit back and take a drop and throw a pass. I want you to think about what I'm saying. There was what was the play in the end zone? I think it was against Kentucky, where they ended up having an ineligible man downfield, which seems to be happening a lot, not just for South Carolina, but in college football. But if you remember,
because the offense is cheap, but that's a whole nother conversation. I wish John Strickland was in here to have that conversation, but
should have.
Neither here nor there.
But remember, if he rolled to his right and he spun around and he did all that stuff against Kentucky, and then all of a sudden found somebody in the back of the end zone. Then you go back, the questionable pass interference or whatever they ended up calling, the offensive penalty that wiped away the Dalvon Campbell long pass. Again, he was scrambling on that, just chunked it up. And then the third one is the end game to Vandrevius Jacobs, where he's moving around, steps up in the pocket, or is kind of running forward and finds Jacobs. Maybe his passing is just as simple as make him move, sprint him out. And Preston, almost in a way, I was told this once about Jake Bentley, that Bentley was a little too cerebral, that sitting back and for sitting back and trying to do some of the things that you need him to do, he thought a little bit too much, as opposed to when he got into a little bit of a panic and just was like, oh, that guy's open. Whoop, throws it and it's dead on the money.
Mm-hmm. That can make sense. I don't know if that's the same issue. I think there's some probably accuracy issues and things that we've said he's a 50-50 ball thrower for his career. So we'll see what that means. I'm interested to see what that means for Dow, because has not called a game for this type of quarterback before. He likes to reference his NFL career. Jay Cutler was not a guy that was moving out of the pocket. Ryan Fitzpatrick was not a guy that was moving. Jake Locker was not a guy that was moving. So he's never really actually called. So we don't necessarily know if Dow Loggins has this capability to call these types of plays for Robbie Ashford. We need that yet to be seen.
Does that bring up the question? Is it a Sean Elliott game? We'll come back. Let's get to the phone lines real quick, where David wants to weigh in. David, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm doing okay, guys. I'm a little concerned. We haven't been that far removed from where we had to have the GA coach playing quarterback for us. What I'm concerned about is how would the QB room be if Ashford wouldn't have came? Because all we heard was 4-star Doty. That didn't pan out. Then all we heard was Dante Reno. And now, from the way it seems, he's not even smelling the field. It's Ashford and Davis. If Ashford wouldn't have transferred to us, what kind of shape would be in? And I'm a little concerned now who is evaluating quarterbacks for the program.
No, all right. Hold on. Yeah, let me stop you right there, because this is going to be, unless you're Georgia or unless you're Alabama or Ohio State, this is the new reality of the quarterback room. Because these kids don't sit there and watch. They don't. Preston, this is going to be, and you say, well, if it wouldn't have been Robbie, they'd have gotten somebody. Look, I'm not telling you it would have been anybody great. I'm just telling you they would have gotten somebody. But in this transfer portal era where you cannot keep quarterbacks, because think about this, whether they were good or not, I'm just telling you depth. They did have Tanner Bailey, who was a 4-star kid and from all appearances seemed to have quit football, went to Auburn and flat out quit football. They did have Colton Gauthier, who would have been a 5th-year guy, and both of those guys transferred out. I think this, David, to answer your question, is you're always going to be worried about the quarterback room because, again, unless you're a handful of programs, maybe no more than 6 or 7, you're basically going to have 2 quarterbacks the rest of your life. I mean, look at, again, I use the term run off, and I don't know if that's correct, but at Oklahoma, one of the top Heisman, well, the second, I think he's technically behind Cam Ward now, but Dylan Gabriel was the starter, and he left because they promised Jackson Arnold, the 5-star kid who South Carolina should see later on without injury, the chance to start. And Oklahoma doesn't have another quarterback now after that. I mean, they have other guys, but they don't have another big. To me, Preston, and sorry, David, to cut you off, and thank you for the phone call, but Preston, this is the new reality for 95% of college football, where quarterbacks they don't want to sit around. They don't want to sit around and see, unless you're, again, I point to Georgia, who's got a couple.
I agree with what you're saying, but to David's point, Tanner Bailey's not playing anymore. Colton Gauthier transferred.
I don't think he's playing anymore. They can't find him on a roster.
So this goes back to the evaluation. Was there some errors in the process of evaluation, be it love of the game, whatever you want to call it? But yeah, there might be some truth to that, to not having those guys that are there and available to play.
I mean, again, when you say that, though, to me, it's a situation where if you're an elite quarterback, you can look at a program and go, well, I'll go beat that guy out. But again, it's not. It's what we were told, and what I do believe is that certain guys wanted to come in and be guaranteed the starting spot. And I do understand that. If I'm KJ Jefferson and I'm in my final career and I'm leaving a place that I'm supposedly comfy in, that I've spent my life, my college career there at Arkansas, I'm not going to go to a South Carolina where I'm in a quarterback battle. And you can say that's selfish, and maybe even say I don't want that guy if he just wants to be handed the starting spot. But that was a reason that K.J. Jefferson never really gave South Carolina much interest. Malik Murphy was another name that popped up. And, Duke was looking for a quarterback, and that fit Malik Murphy because he got the starting job instantly. Jaden Rashad is a different kind of kid. He transfers from Arizona State, looks at Georgia, and I think he also looked at Georgia and may have heard, oh, Brock Vandagriff's not very good? Sure, I'll go there. And then Brock Vandagriff went, oh, no, Jaden Rashad is here, another kid to battle with? All right, I'll go to Kentucky. They don't have a quarterback. I think this is something we continue to learn, but I think it's really, really hard. And that's why maybe landing a guy like Cutter Woods, and I'm not trying to put Cutter Woods down, but I think I'm about to, who.
No disrespect.
Yeah. Well, is kind of a developmental guy who's not going to come in and go, oh, I need to start in year 1, 2, or 3.
3 years is a long time.
I mean,
I hear you.
because if you're coming in behind Lenore Sellers, and you kind of keep thinking, oh, I'm going to come in and start, but they're already starting him his freshman year. He'll start his sophomore and he'll start his redshirt junior year. I think it's a different way of looking at what the quarterback, and that's all I said. I'm not sure that the way to handle your quarterback room if you're a South Carolina isn't just to go pluck a transfer quarterback for basically every 2 years. I'd want a guy who gives you 2 years, kind of like Spencer Rattler did, but Rattler was supposed to only give you 1.
That's true, too.
803-404-6100. We'll get into a little more Dow Loggains, and we'll jump over to Clayton White. Oh, Coach White, ready to break things down, just not quite as long as Dow Loggains. I'm looking, all our Dow Loggains clips, there's only there's 2 that's under a minute. Clayton White, there's none.
That are over a minute.
Over 50 seconds. We'll get into that a little bit. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game.
Presser here for Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. Now, if you're looking to increase the value of your home with new windows or mirrors, Absolute Glass will come out and take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Things moving along pretty well out there on the highway this morning. No accidents to report. Do need to be a little extra careful. Low beam headlights, if you would. There is some fog out there. When that clears off, should see a high today of 84. Tomorrow, 86, 88 for Saturday. And by Sunday, we could hit 90. But 88 is going to be a great day on Saturday for game day. Right now, we are looking at 69 with that fog on the early game.
.635 as we roll along in the 6 o'clock hour. Spend a little time on the offense. Dow Loggains yesterday speaking. We'll get to Clayton White. And again, that's actually factual. Tyler does a great job of cutting up these clips each and every day for us. Preston Thorne, Dow Loggains, we have 10 of them. 2 of them are less than a minute. Clayton White, on the other hand, what is that? We have roughly 13 of them, 14 here, and none of them go longer than 50 seconds, and that's not on Tyler.
As I said, you can tell who's who by how they work. One way you could evade questions is to go long, and one way you could evade questions is to go short.
803-404-6200. We'll get back to the coordinators in just a second. Let's get out to the phone lines. Ray wants to weigh in on the quarterback situation. Ray, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Bill. Good morning, Preston. Good morning, Jen. Yeah, talking about this quarterback thing. First of all, I'm very pleased that we got Sellers. I mean, I think he is an elite young quarterback. So, being said that, kind of going to the quarterback thing, how it's a crapshoot. I mean, we remember back during Muschamps last year how just terrible things were, and but they were people who wanted to keep Muschamp, and because the fact they thought that we would be able to get Gunnar Stockton because of Muschamp. They were willing to bring Muschamp back because people thought Gunnar Stockton was going to be the program savior. Now, where is he now? I think he's down on depth chart down, over in Georgia, and he's been, in college 4 years now. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot with these guys, I mean, I think about the Gunnar Stockton thing, every now and then. I'm like, good land, they're willing to give a Muschamp an extension to get this kid. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, just real quick on this, and we'll move on. I think it was 2018, somewhere in there, 2019, I don't remember what year, but South Carolina was listed by Sports Illustrated as having one of the 3 or 4 best quarterback rooms in the country because at that time they had Jake Bentley. I think they had DeCarrion Joyner, I believe, and they had Ryan Holinsky. And then there was a 4th person I can't remember, but basically it was like, wow, look at this quarterback room that South Carolina has amassed. This is going to be really good. Mm-hmm. And so it really, to Ray's point, it is a little bit of a crapshoot. But I also think now with the ability to transfer, it's harder than ever unless you are a true blue blood to keep your program. Let me just give you an example. If you're Florida, and most people, despite what Florida's going through, would say Florida's a blue blood, Graham Mertz is kind of like the Band-Aid, and if they didn't have DJ Lagway, you'd be like, what have they got going on at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think that's very true, and nobody expected, and Graham Mertz was kind of in that situation where he was a reclamation project, I guess is to put it lightly, and nobody was necessarily thrilled about Graham Mertz being the option for them at quarterback. So, yeah, quarterbacking is a crapshoot. The experts, the people who get paid a lot of money at the highest levels can't figure it out, i.e. Bryce Young, i.e. Deshaun Watson, i.e. whoever you want to, Trevor Lawrence. Quarterbacking is a crapshoot. That's why it's so important to, when you have one, to obviously take care of them.
I mean, and then one more and we'll move on. Auburn. I mean, look what Auburn's going through right now with.
Yeah, which, by the way, both of my namesake quarterbacks have been benched this year. I came into this season with a lot of hope. Preston Stone, I thought he was going to do big things for SMU.
I did too.
Benched. Peyton Thorne for Auburn, benched. So my guys are not having a great year at quarterback this year.
I think you need to have a conversation with them.
I know. Well, I got to call cousin Peyton and be like, hey, man, listen, you're doing bad things to the Thorne name. And then Preston Stone, that's just a great name, and I thought he was going to do some things. And
Preston Thorne is a strong name.
Preston Thorne is strong, too. I will agree, but
You guys could have a podcast, Stone and Thorn.
Stone and Thorn. I like it. It could work.
That
but
actually could work.
I'm not
but
sure
he's
what
got
it
to
is.
actually work.
Yeah.
Actually, he's got time to do a podcast now.
Sounds like it. A little bit. Yep.
Yeah, a little more free time than initially he
My
had.
guys, man. Yeah. So anyway, the point is, yes. Going in, would you like to be the Denver Broncos and saying that Bo Nix was going to be the answer? I don't know, man. Quarterbacking is tough.
Yeah. You brought that up yesterday. On the other side of the ball, Clayton White yesterday talking to the media. And, Preston, this is, I think, near and dear to your heart. The 3-man front versus the 4-man front. Which direction do you want to go with first on this?
I think we should go with the 3-man front because a lot of people were asking questions about why did Clayton decide to go to the 3-man front in the second half when it seemed like they were having so much success in the first half. And I'm not sure if he answered the question, but this is at least alluding to that.
Well, really, the process, obviously we know LSU has a locker room full of talent. They can strike at any time. So the main thought was, let's go 3 down and put more guys in coverage and invite them to run it. And then obviously the very first play we had a blown coverage and got to get that fixed. But I definitely don't regret the decision. Obviously that defense has been good for us, and the 4-2-5 has also been good for us too. So just unfortunate timing.
Could we get him out of a tin can? I'm not sure what was going on, but it just sounded like, bless him, like, can he have like a little better space? Clearly in that Campbell soup can is where he was broadcasting
EQ the
from.
mics. EQ the mics for Clayton.
That's why he's very sharp. He knows that the mics are on limited time, and he makes those.
Well, here's the issue. Here's the problem. Where's the strength of your team? The strength of the team consensus seems to be that the strength of the team is in the defensive line. And so it would seem that if the strength of your team is with this group of players, you would want to get more of them on the field. He said they got more guys in coverage, and conversely, the first play, they blew a coverage. Now, that's not going to happen every time, but I would probably put more stock in the better position unit, which seems to be the defensive line.
Okay. I don't know. You got me thinking on that a little bit.
Okay.
I'd probably go with that, but I really like the way the linebackers have played this year. My grades are right over there. I mean, I've got the linebackers with an A as well. So you're talking about taking an extra. You're talking about taking an extra defensive lineman off to go with that 4th linebacker, or an extra kind of.
I don't know whether they're going with the 4th linebacker or they're going with an extra defensive back. As far as coverage is concerned. And that's when it gets tricky when you get into, are they running a 4-2-5? Is it a 3-3-5? Is it a what? All of that stuff. It just seems like the defensive line have been making plays all year, and I would be hesitant to take one of those guys off the field.
803-404-6100. So now let's real quick listen. This is Clayton White talking about a rushing 4 and a run defense miscues, and just kind of get you to compare those two. Here's Clayton White yesterday talking about rushing 4 and the run defense miscues.
Well, probably to answer the first question, we probably did pressure a little bit more. The game was different. Obviously, they have a tight end that stayed in, and their O-line is better than the other 2 teams that we played. So, and our guys, it was more of an evenly match up front with 4. If they're keeping in 6 and we're rushing 4, that's not the right math that you're trying to get pressure with. And then if you blitz more than 4 or 5 or 6, now the math is not right on the back end. So you got to do a good job of finding that time to pressure. The runs that did hit them, and they kind of had us on a couple of schemes, and we had to fix it during the game. But I thought, for the most part, our guys were trying to get to the run, but they had 2 or 3 runs that kind of popped out on the backside. It was kind of disappointing, but some big plays that kind of hurt us and kind of gave them some momentum.
So let's take a break, come back, let you get into that, what he just said there, the 3-man versus the 4-man. It's a week, I feel like, Preston, that they can work on both. They should be able to work on both against Akron and kind of gear up for Mississippi, for Alabama, for Oklahoma. 3 very good passing teams and teams that can run the ball. So you do maybe want to be multiple, but we'll get your take on that when we come back. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. 6:48. As we roll along, let me remind you about the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. It is back. If South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown for Saturday, someone will pocket $400. If they don't, another $100 goes in the pot, and it'll be added to the next game. All you got to do to win is go register. 1075thegame.com. Again, if South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown Saturday against Akron, you can win the pot. We'll draw a winner from the group that is registered. Again, go to 1075thegame.com. It is the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Not talking special teams right now, talking defense and the 3-4 or three down lineman. I shouldn't say 3-4 because, as Preston said, we aren't real positive who that extra guy is when you take the defensive lineman off. But the 3-man front versus the 4-man front. You heard Clayton White there on both accounts. Your thoughts?
Math. He said it a couple of times, and it gets into where do you feel like you're strongest with the math, and that's all really football turns into is where can I get more people lined up where you're susceptible. So on the offensive side, you saw LSU walking the extra men into the box so that it made the run game tougher. On the defensive side, Clayton was trying to figure out where do I try and get the math to favor my side. What he said was that LSU had them in some situations where they were running the ball. They weren't able to get the quite run fits, which is a whole nother conversation. And with that being said, they exposed them a little bit with the 4-man front. Math. What you don't want is you don't want them to have dudes where you're in a situation, if you bring extra blitzers, you can even up the numbers up front, but on the backside, you'll be in one-on-one situations. And it seems like aside from maybe one or two players, we haven't won a lot of one-on-one situations on the back half of the defense.
Okay, both of us, I can't remember. I've got my grades written down right over there. I can't remember what yours were for the secondary because I think what it feels like a little, I could be wrong, we got a lot of faith. We like the defensive line. We like the linebackers, but that still the secondary is a weakness.
As a whole, is it
that thing that we've kind of been talking about where we think that the individual talent in the secondary is good, but they haven't come together as a group?
Well, that's definitely a possibility. The secondary has to be able to communicate. They have to talk about the coverages. They have to know where each other is. But it seems like there's two strong folks in the secondary, Nick Worry, and the cornerback O.D. Fortune. It seems like those are the two that are playing best. And then it seems like they're trying to figure out. Now, I will say Vakari Swain has been playing well, but he's playing well more up in the box type of issues. So that's all for Clayton to figure out. And you just got to take your chances of what do you think is the strength of your team. Is it on the back end or is it on the front end?
803-404-6100. Now, this is the other fun part to the weekend. I tell you what, Jen, I apologize. Let's get a little number 15 in here because we heard Shane Beamer talk a little bit about the two quarterbacks. Here is Clayton White talking about what the two quarterbacks for Akron presents as problems for his team.
Well, I mean, they have two different types of quarterbacks, kind of, very similar to what we had last year with Spencer and Lenoris. Obviously, give two different types of styles, but I think they're both tough. They're both respected. They both can make plays with their feet and their legs. I think they understand what Coach Moorhead is asking for in the offense and running it, and they do a good job of commanding the offense and being good leaders.
He didn't mention anything about them catching passes, man. I wanted to hear about the gadget plays. He didn't say anything about the cool stuff. I wanted to hear about them running two quarterbacks at once.
Would have given us a minute and 45 on breaking down both guys.
I wanted to hear a little bit about them. I don't know. I think some teams have been able to deal with it. I would just approach my team like, they got two dudes. It doesn't matter who it is. That's how I would approach it if I was the defensive coordinator. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his name is, what his number is. Let's go knock him out.
803-404-6100. That's what they need. This is for South Carolina, both defensively and offensively. This week needs to be about what you do. It's not so much that, Akron has two quarterbacks. Well, their defense held Ohio State without a score there for the first, almost 12 minutes of the first quarter. It's all about what you do for South Carolina this coming weekend. Now, this isn't going to take long, but this is our favorite part of Clayton White, right? He gets to the podium. Jen, let's just play number 11. This is the Clayton White opening statement. Real quick, if you don't know how this works, the coordinator's going to show up. Typically, Steve Fink says, all right, and then the coordinators give an opening statement, if you will. Here's Clayton White's opening statement.
Yeah, make sure you pay attention because it's Not very long.
Right.
First and foremost, just proud of our guys, how they practiced so far this week, coming off a heartbreaking loss. Good work yesterday, good work today. Looking forward to getting back in William Bryce this Saturday night.
That was it.
I could have said that.
Man, a few words.
Tyler cut it before he said. He usually gives us greetings and salutations before he does that. But yeah, yes, we've seen these and we've seen how this sort of goes.
Coach White in that situation seemed like a guy who was like, man, I got stuff I got to work on.
Yeah,
I don't really have time.
He's got all this math running in his mind. He's like, man, if I can get 6 guys in the box, they got 7 guys. Like, oh yeah, how y'all guys doing today?
803-404-6100. We'll get into a little bit of chop talk this morning when we come back. Braves, 2 back in the wild card standings. 2 back.
That's the key number. That is the key number. They got to keep it to 2 at least because they have a huge series coming up.
Got it. That's right. The Mets are 2 in front of them in the wild card standings. That's really about it for the National League because it's the Braves are 2 back. I say the Mets. They are 2 back of the Mets. They're also 2 back of the Diamondbacks. But you pointed out big series coming up with the Mets. That's why I say the Mets. After that, the Cardinals are 7 back. I don't know if they don't have the E next to their name, so they're not officially eliminated just yet. Like the Reds, the Pirates, the Nationals, the Rockies, and the Marlins. And the White Sox, just in case you were wondering.
White Sox on a 3-game winning streak.
Oh, look out. No, they're not. 2-game losing streak.
Oh,
look at
earlier.
You blinked and the White Sox fell off. We'll get into some chop talk and to some Tennessee ticket prices in the next hour. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Let me ask you this, because I know you haven't thought about it. Is your air conditioning unit the oldest in the AAA Heating and Air service area? If it is, you need to go to myoildair.com. AAA Heating and Air is on the hunt to find the oldest AC unit in their Midlands service area. And if you think it's yours, it could pay off. AAA Heating and Air has the My Oldest AC contest kicking off right now, and you have a chance to win a new HVAC system for your home. Head over to the website, myoildair.com, and complete the online entry form. AAA Heating and Air will draw a winner at random for every 100 entries. It really is that easy. The contest is for a limited time only. Only residents in the AAA Heating and Air service area are eligible to enter. See the terms and rules on their website for a full list of contest rules. Again, that is the My Oldest Air heating and air unit here in the Midlands. Go to the website, myoildair.com, complete the online entry form, and sign up today.
And taking a peek at those traffic conditions out there this morning, we're seeing I-26 eastbound on Piney Grove Road being an issue. Aside from that, no other accidents to report. We do have that patchy Duns fog out there, so be careful and keep those low beam headlights on if you would. 84 will ultimately be our high today. 86 tomorrow. And come Saturday, great day for some tailgating and for some football. 88 for the high, the overnight low of 66. And we actually hit 90 on Sunday. So summer's not quite gone yet. Currently 69 on the early game.
Hour number 2, as we get you up and get you going, we may actually have to start discussing it amongst ourselves and make a declaration. Thursday's the official start of the weekend. During football season especially, Preston Thorne. During football especially because, again, tonight we have some NFL football, Jets and Patriots. I mean, at least you can tune in and catch Aaron Rodgers and just see how that goes. Feels like it's a circus every time he plays. If you want to go the college route, might actually be a good game. South Alabama put up like 80 million points last week on somebody who doesn't have a name. Did you see that score? It was like last Thursday or Friday night.
No, I didn't. But I was just thinking about Shane Beamer talking about lazy narratives, and I was about to say, man, App State, they could get you. That's all I had in my mind for App State. They'll slip up on you. Don't want to play App State.
South Alabama was 0-2 prior to last week. They played Northwestern State and won 87-10.
Okay. So,
and really they put up 38 in their first game and a loss to North Texas. They did score just 20 against Ohio, but maybe lazy narrative. You're right. Just because App State's on, we're like, that should be a good game.
You know they beat Michigan, right?
And they beat South Carolina too.
Oh yeah. Let me update my lazy narrative. My bad.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this hour. Yeah, some football tonight, South Alabama and Appalachian State tonight if you want to get into that. And then on Amazon Prime, you get a little bit of Jets and Patriots. Also tonight, if you want to get into it, the Braves are clinging on for dear life. I mean, just doing whatever they can. Last night, 7-1 victory over Cincinnati. Let's get into a little bit of chop talk here and discuss the Braves and MLB.
Chop talk.
Hammered, left field, gone! Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
On the Game Network.
Talked about it a little bit in the last hour, but right now the standings, let's kind of go through all of them real quick just to update you on where everybody is at. Poor Terry Ford, his Baltimore Orioles have absolutely fallen off in the AL East, and they are now 5 back of the Yankees. Yankees 89-63. Every year feels like a pivotal year for the Yankees, Preston, but this is another one because, well, there's a lot of money at play. Juan Soto, Stanton is still there. Judge is hitting home runs at a record pace, just absolutely demolishing the ball. You got the pitching staff supposed to be loaded. It's another year where if the Yankees go into the playoffs and don't get to the World Series and win it, they are a utter in complete failure, just complete failure.
Yeah, and that's what the money has provided them, and that's the position where they are in the playoffs. They didn't even make the playoffs last year, so this is a step forward. But definitely making the playoffs is not what Yankee fans are excited to hear about.
So Orioles, they're 5 back. Really, there's no real major races in the American League. The Guardians are up 6 games on the Royals. The Astros are up 5 on the Mariners. By the way, I saw this yesterday on Pardon the Interruption. I don't know if you've seen it. It goes down for dumbest sports play, definitely in baseball. And maybe the Mariners had the bases loaded, no outs. I think no outs. The batter had a 3-0 count in about the second inning, and a guy tries to steal home.
I saw that.
On his own. By the way, in some ridiculously ugly-looking Mariners uniforms.
I saw that. I did see that. It was a terrible play.
So if you had seen
bad decision making.
So yeah, but the Astros 5 up there on the Mariners in the AL. Again, not a whole lot going on in the AL in terms of actual pennant races. You do have the wild card, which keeps it a little more interesting. The Detroit Tigers are just a half game back of the Minnesota Twins. The Kansas City Royals are a game and a half up on the Twins in the wild card for the 5th spot, and the Orioles up by 4 there. So the American League kind of out of control. Shouldn't have any problems coming down the stretch there. In the National League, Phillies up 7 on the Mets. The Brewers clinching. They are up 11 games on both the Cardinals and the Cubs. And the Dodgers up 3.5 on the Padres.
Yeah, here's the thing. The standings don't really matter. Only one team matters. What are the Mets doing, right? It matters what are the Mets doing, and until that point, if they can just serve as 2 games behind right now until September 24th, I believe, is when the series starts. And they have a 3-game series at Truist in Atlanta. The way Major League has designed the schedules, they've designed the schedules for things to come down to the end of the seasons to matter, and it's going to matter for 3 games. So they just have to stay 2 games. You prefer it to be 1 so you can get a swing, but at 2 games behind, there's an opportunity for them to take over the last wild card spot.
So the Braves will wrap up. You love their position today. Chris Sale on the mound against the Reds. That'll be a 1-10 game in Cincinnati. The Braves getting back on the right track last night, winning 7-1. That was after a 3-game losing streak Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They got blasted by the Dodgers on Sunday and Monday, 9-2 and 9-0. It's not the momentum you want trying to track down the Mets.
Yeah, I keep trying to figure out what I need to do with the Dodgers because they're sort of in the Yankees stratosphere of sort of. They are as far as payroll, and I'm not supposed to like them, but they just have a bunch of dudes that I kind of like. They have Shohei, Mookie, Freddie Freeman. It's like kind of like those dudes, man. But they're the evil empire, but I kind of like them. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
The Braves will wrap it up in Cincinnati and fly to Miami. So that's a good thing. Where
need to sweep that.
Our good buddy, who's texted me this morning, John Whittle, on the way down. I asked him, I was like, "Why are you up so early? What are you doing up so early?" But he is going down because he's going to catch a couple Gamecocks playing down there. He says,
Witt and talking about playing with the Braves. Witt and who else?
Witt with the Braves and Jonah Bride playing with the Marlins down there. So he's going to see a couple Gamecocks down there in Miami tomorrow night. But you like that matchup for the Braves. That's a winnable. That's a series that
they need to win.
Yeah, you might.
Miami's terrible.
You might actually need to sweep it.
You hate to say that in baseball, but every game is at a premium now, and Miami is terrible. You need to take care of business.
On the flip side of things, the Mets this weekend, starting tonight on Fox, 7:15. So I was talking about that. You got, of course, the football tonight. But if you're a Braves fan, it's like I know, like some of y'all, you don't know who to pull for. But the Mets have a 4-game series. The Mets' end of the season schedule is ridiculous because I think the Brewers are a world. I saw them twice back in August in Atlanta. Brewers are really good, and the Mets will close out with a 4-game set at home against the Phillies, and then finish up on the road with 3 starting next Tuesday in Atlanta, and then 3 to end the year in Milwaukee. Like, if you're the Braves, you couldn't ask for a better end of the season scenario where you get the Marlins, then they get the Mets, and then they'll wrap up the year with the Kansas City Royals. So if the Braves are going to make the playoffs, even though they're 2 back starting today, you love the way that wraps up because you get them in Atlanta, next week, you should have the Braves, according to the look-ahead, should have Chris Sale on the mound on Wednesday the 25th. They'll have Schwallenbach on the mound Tuesday the 24th, and they'll have Charlie Morton on the mound Thursday the 26th.
This is where it gets into gamesmanship because you assuming that the Phillies have that they're not going to be resting players. Or
You hope. Yes, good point.
So it gets into all this gamesmanship at the end. The Mets can still win. Maybe they're pushing the Phillies. 7 is probably far enough where the Phillies are not worried about losing that first spot. But all of this is getting really, really interesting. But you're right. I would much rather be playing the Marlins than the Phillies or the Brewers.
Chris weighs in, and I'll have to go back through this and read it, but basically there will be no more. There's no more. If you have a tie, if the Braves and the Mets are tied after 162 games for that final playoff spot, basically it starts with head-to-head competition. And I right now, off the top of my head, didn't look. I have no idea what the Braves and the Mets season series is at right now, and after that it gets more complex. So that's where the Braves stand right now. Again, you do have, I guess, if you want to break it down, you do have a little bit of a race going on in the NL West there between the Padres and the Dodgers. The Padres just 3.5 back and playing really good, and so then we'll see. But the regular season comes to conclusion not this Sunday, but the following Sunday.
Well, the only thing to watch out, and this is from an article in the Athletic. The Braves have not hit well this year. The only one who's been holding them up really is Marcell Ozuna. He's been playing really well up until recently. In the last 18 games before last night, he had no home runs and 0 runs driven in.
Oh.
So that's good news, bad news. We've been treading water with our best player not hitting. Maybe he comes along, or does that streak continue? So that's something to keep an eye on.
803-404-6100. There's a little bit of chop talk as we get you up and get you going. Again, look, interesting. Again, if you're the Braves, you don't want to be 2 games back, Preston. But I think I like their position better than I like the Mets.
It's not a bad spot.
Basically 7 games against what I would say World Series contenders. 7 games, 4 against the Phillies. Now, what are the Phillies doing? And then also, you're right, that final weekend of the season are the Brewers resting people.
And we're also banking on the Marlins being like, come on, guys, let's just
the Marlins are resting people for all the wrong reasons.
Guys, are y'all ready to go home? Y'all ready? Come on, man, let's go home.
Yeah, and you're kind of now the Royals, again, are in the hunt for a wild card, so we'll see. 803-404-6100. Want to remind you, there's only a few craft beer cards left, but you can go and purchase one. Go to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals. You can spend $30 at 12 different craft beer locations. That's a $360 value for just $79. Again, to sign up and buy one of these, go to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals, and you can purchase yourself a craft beer card. Again, just a few left. We'll come back, start to talk a little bit about this Tennessee situation. There's a lot here to dig in. That isn't so much Tennessee related. They're the ones that are starting it, but I'm kind of interested to hear Preston's opinion. I'm interested to hear Jen's opinion. I'm interested to hear your opinion on what Tennessee's doing. And if South Carolina did something like this, what would you do?
When
South Carolina does something like this, what will you do? We'll discuss it. You're listening to The Early Game. You heard us giving the Braves run down there, and you've got a lot of baseball going on. Mets, Phillies tonight. Mentioned college football, South Alabama, Appalachian State, Jets, Patriots. All these are things you might want to be watching. You might even want the 3 TV set up. You don't want to be cleaning your home. And with Zerorez, don't let the game day take a toll on your home this season. Call Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning for those nasty spills. With their patented cleaning system to get your home surfaces insanely clean without leaving behind a soapy residue, Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is ready to take care of your home. Right now, take advantage of their fall savings event and get 20% off all cleaning services. That's right. You heard that right. 20% off carpets, air ducts, area rugs, and more when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. You can easily schedule your cleaning online, zerorezcolumbia.com, or you can give them a phone call, 803-262-4020. Again, mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and get 20% off all cleaning services. Zerorez, spell it backwards and forwards, is the right way to clean.
I-26 eastbound there at Piney Grove Road. The only accident that we really have to worry about at this time. That's great news for your Thursday morning. 84 is going to be our high today, 86 tomorrow. And a beautiful day for football on Saturday. High of 88, overnight low of 66. By Sunday, we're looking at a high of 90. Right now, though, we do have that patchy, dense fog, so do use those low beam headlights, that is, if you would. It is currently 70 on the early game.
803-404-6100. Want to remind you, September is Hunger Action Month. The game and Hardee's are teaming up for the Hardee's Roundup. Just go to your participating Hardee's and round up your bill to the nearest dollar amount. All donations go to the Harvest Hope Food Bank for students. Again, it is Hunger Action Month, and the game and Hardee's teaming up for the Hardee's Roundup. Just go on to your participating Hardee's and round up your bill to the nearest dollar amount, and all donations will go to the Harvest Hope Food Bank for students. This is going to be really interesting here. If you haven't seen this week, Tennessee has done something that really every school slowly does, raise ticket prices. But what Tennessee has done, Preston Thorne, has just kind of slipped this in. Ticket prices at Tennessee are actually going up about 14.5% in this situation. 10% increase on all ticket invoices, and that is season tickets and single game purchases as well as donations for the seats. Tennessee will add an average increase of 14.5% on all football tickets. Now, if I've read this correctly, that's 14.5. Here's the thing. That 10% increase will now basically be labeled as a talent fee on tickets to help pay athletes. Let me repeat this. Listen closely. That 10% will be a talent fee on tickets to help pay athletes as part of the new revenue sharing plan set to begin in 2025.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting because there's a lot of – listen, we do a morning show. We like to talk about barbecue and burritos. We don't really love talking about Supreme Court decisions, so that's not our wheelhouse especially. But this all relates to the landmark decision, which was when we first cleared NIL 3 years ago. Now we've moved forward into the antitrust legislation, which basically has allowed the process to start for revenue sharing from the colleges to pay directly to players. That's the roundabout way how we got here. Again, that's not what we do often, but that's how we get to this conversation. For me, listen, man, this is where we are. This is where everybody is heading directly towards this idea. I object to it. I object to it because I don't agree with the idea of passing the cost on to the consumer when you are solvent and bringing in loads of money. When
you look at the numbers,
that's where my issue is.
Absolutely.
So I get it, but there is a bank of money that the programs have where they could potentially be able to pay this money. They just don't. Again, why would I use my money when I can use yours? And that seems like what they're doing.
Let's play. Here is Pete Thamel talking about this talent fee for Tennessee. Here is what he had to say.
Well, my phone blew up a little bit today, Kevin, and I would just think about it this way. Instead of you paying your real estate tax this April, what if you pay to sit on your couch and watch the Eagles tax, right? Or maybe Elle pays to sit on her couch and watch the Georgia Bulldogs tax. This is some very clever marketing by Danny White, the athletic director at Tennessee. Remember when he was at UCF and he claimed a national title? He knows how to draw attention. And this is very simply a ticket hike, under the guise of a new era in college sports. Obviously, with the revenue share expected to come next fall, everybody needs more money, 25 to 30 million. This will get Tennessee probably 8 to 10 million when they do it. And look, it's easy to do this, Kevin, when you are sold out completely. Mm-hmm. Your team's in the top 10 and rolling, and you could just call it a Nico Ameleava tax.
Yeah.
Jokes, lots of jokes. All right, let me give you one more Tennessee stat here to kind of give you an idea, and I'm just going to give you the Tennessee stat that's in the article. The most recent financial data available, the Tennessee football program turned a $75 million profit in 2023. They had $134.9 million in revenue. This is according to ESPN. $134.9 million in revenue, $59.1 million in expenses. So $75 million profit.
It's a pretty good year.
Pretty good year. I don't know what all that's funding. They are doing a project for their stadium, much like South Carolina has discussed around it. Obviously, now you're paying up to maybe as many as 105 scholarships. That's counting football. That's only football. That's not counting whatever you may be doing for basketball, for baseball. I never looked because I don't know if we ever followed up. Let me just glance real quick here and see what exactly the baseball coach for Tennessee got. Remember there was talk
a lot.
about, did we know what it is?
The highest.
Tony Vitello contract. I just, once South Carolina was eliminated, I stopped paying attention. $3 million. You're talking about paying now the baseball coach, and I don't know if his staff got extra money as well, but now you're going to incorporate revenue sharing in this starting in 2025, which I still have, despite trying to read about it, still don't grasp all of the concepts of how that works, because it's not just towards football. You got to do it within your entire athletic program.
Yeah, they have not figured this out yet, even though they say it's coming in 2025. They haven't figured this out in the Supreme Court, because their most recent thing that they did was the NCAA is trying to do away with NIL collectives, saying that, okay, if we're revenue sharing, then we need to do with NILs. And the Supreme Court said, no, we've already told you cannot artificially cap a person's ability to earn their earning rights. So they keep trying to do this, but they're not able to do this. But for a couple of things, as far as revenue sharing is concerned, the SEC, and I wrote it down, the SEC distributed $51 million to each of their institutions last year through revenue, through TV sharing, through contracts. And I say that to say that there is money coming in as far as these places. So it's not as if they don't have the money. What it is they would prefer, as they did with NIL, they would prefer for you, the consumer, you, the customer, to pay those prices instead of them, because either they want to protect their capital investments or they want to pay some of these exorbitant salaries. Check Danny White's salary. He's doing pretty good for himself.
And this all goes back to maybe we would have the funds if we didn't promise coaches they'll get paid in a buyout for, another $15 million for not working at the university. Stop that nonsense, and you wouldn't have to be adding these additional $10, 10% ticket increases.
I think that's I think this is all very fair arguments.
There is no other, hardly any other industry where if you leave your job because of poor performance, they're going to keep on paying you and keep on paying you at those levels. Like, stop it.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously but because why this has been able to operate is they've been able to operate in these realms, building these outrageous facilities, doing all of these things, because they haven't had to share any of that profit with the people who were working for it, i.e. the athletes, and now they're finally having to do that. And now they're like, the way I think about it is, think about how maybe when you got your first job, whatever that check was, you felt like you were rich because guess what? You didn't have any real bills.
Right.
Let me just speak for myself. If I made $200 in a month or whatever at my little running job that I had, I felt like I was rich because guess what I was paying for? CDs and sneakers.
Right.
And maybe fast food. I didn't have to pay real bills. And so I had a lot of money around. And that's what these athletic departments have had, because they have not had to actually pay any of the athletes, quote, whether you want to call them salaries or not. They haven't had to do that, and now they're having to reconcile with having to do that. And you, the consumer, are going to be doing it.
Well, and a lot of text messages coming in. I agree with the texter here. Let me go back to this. Said, what happens when said talented teams start to not be talented? Does the tax decrease?
That's a good question.
I mean,
yeah, if you go,
this is going to be a real problem for fans right now. Now, I'll say this. You said, well, don't pay them those ridiculous buyouts. Coaches and agents are not stupid. They know the inherent risk they take. Billy Napier's not going to make it 3 years. He's not going to make it a full 3 years. Now, it's his fault. I assume it's his fault. I'm not on the Florida beat down there. But Napier was covered his background pretty. His agent deserves a muffin basket on a weekly basis. And you're right, Florida didn't have to accept it. They also didn't have to hire Billy Napier.
Right.
Could have hired Jim McElwain back. Probably wouldn't have made it. They could have hired Will Muschamp back. Florida's going to pay a whole lot of money right now to try and rectify this situation, but it's going to cost them. That's the price of doing business if you want to be good. If you don't, There's a whole nother league of football right below you. It's called
But you figure this is changing. All of this, the NIL, all of that is changing. There's nothing to say that somehow that all can't change.
That's all. Absolutely. Maybe they'll look and say, "Oh, maybe we don't need to do that anymore." By the way, Billy Napier's agent, Jimmy Sexton.
Of course.
Will Muschamp's agent, Jimmy Sexton. But Kirby Smart's agent, Jimmy Sexton.
Well, but again, if you don't like playing at this level, go play in the FCS. And no offense to Furman and Wofford and those programs, you can have them. You can have an 80,000, 75,000 seat stadium with Furman and Wofford. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What I am saying is it looks like this is the tipping point, because I get it. I really do get it that people are, you the fan, are being asked to pay a lot of money now. And now, when you pay a lot of money, you expect your product to be grade A premium. There's no other. You don't want to pay a lot of money to go 5-7.
Well, that's why this is the perfect time for Tennessee to do that.
Yes,
because they're on the ascent and they have things going well in the athletic program. So, and Danny White claims, and I don't know if these numbers are true, but he's like, "Hey, listen, we got people lined up. So, I mean, if you don't want to do it, somebody will."
803-404-6100. We'll continue on with this for a few minutes, get some final thoughts. I'll try to get a lot of these text messages, a lot of you weighing in on this with your thoughts. You're listening to the early game.
They say journey is a perfection, and our journey in updating a bathroom led us to Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. We renovated a bathroom, had put in new cabinetry. So, of course, that meant we needed a countertop, and we went to Carolina Stone Craftsman, and we were so impressed. Felt very at home right away. Toured their showroom, which is amazing. Learned about their marble and granite and quartz and how they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship. There was so much to choose from. They were really helpful because we weren't sure what we wanted, so they were very helpful in guiding us to find out what would work best with our cabinet. And every step of the process, from visiting the showroom, selecting the granite, their home visit to measure, installation, it was all flawless. And once installation was complete, they cleaned up like they were never there, and that I very much appreciated. If you are in the market for countertops for your kitchen, for your bath, I do encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman and tell them Jen Jensen sent you. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin, and definitely beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com. I-26 eastbound and Piney Grove Road have a report of an accident there, but it is definitely backing things up at least to mile marker 101. So a good 3-mile stretch that is slow going due to that tie-up. So allow a little extra time, little patience. It's not easy. I totally understand. But we do have some patchy dense fog out there this morning. We are going to get a high of about 84. And then tomorrow, 86. Saturday, sunny and 88. A beautiful day for football. But again, we do have that patchy fog and looking at about 68 right now on the early game.
$7:35 as we roll along here on your Thursday morning. Again, want to remind you, the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest is back. If South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown, someone will pocket $400 this weekend. If they don't, $100, another $100 goes into the pot and will be added to the pot in 2 weeks, not next week, but in 2 weeks for the Ole Miss game. All you got to do to win, register. Go to 1075thegame.com and get yourself registered today. It is the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest that is back. Let me get to a couple of these text messages here and let you weigh in on what you hear here. This one I like. Texter says, my man cave has seen significant improvements since I stopped buying season tickets 5 years ago.
Fair.
Jay from the Interstate weighs in. This is a pass the cost to the consumer so we can continue to make millions. Hope stadiums are empty. Greed in sports is beyond ridiculous.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, but the same reaction I just had is the same reaction Danny White's having. He's like, all right, man, that's cool. I'm glad you feel that way. But those other 80,000 people don't.
Scott weighs in. The reason they started all this revenue stuff is because they were concerned about the schools and the TV making so much money, and now they want the consumer to pay for the revenue sharing plan. Crazy.
Seems, yeah. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. Again, I'm sorry to cut you off, Jim, but we've been talking about this 12-team playoff, how much money's coming into this, all this money flowing in. And I'm not sure why they have not had a plan for this.
And my next question is, okay, we're asking to contribute to the NIL. Well, are season ticket holders going to say, you know what, I'm not going to contribute to an NIL program because now I'm doing it 10% of every game that I go to. So why should I contribute to that? So are they going to see a decline on contributions for that? It's like, well, if I'm not going to pay twice.
It's absolutely fair.
So that could end up hurting athletes.
That's absolutely fair.
So this is where it gets interesting because Tennessee's doing it, but not everybody's doing it yet. But as Preston said, it's a matter of when, not if. So
yeah, everybody's looking around the corner at Tennessee like, okay, is it safe now? All right.
So
we're do it too.
Yeah, it's a matter really, and as Preston pointed out, you got a redshirt freshman quarterback who's supposed to be a stud. You get him for 2 more years. Tennessee's rolling right along. Not insane. I'd be interested to see Oklahoma and Tennessee this week. Not insane to say that Tennessee's one of the top 3 teams in the conference, maybe even top 2. I mean, they've beaten up on, I still don't know what NC State is, but Kent State, NC State, and Chattanooga. But this is where I turn it. Okay, where is your loyalty with your university? Whether you're a Clemson fan, whether you're a South Carolina fan. Yesterday, some words coming out about Clemson and Florida State now trying to almost negotiate again with the ACC. Like, this isn't good. But negotiate with the ACC that they would get more money in the revenue sharing amongst the conference. But where is your loyalty to your program? Or, as the one texter said, does your loyalty to having your own money where you can buy the 70-inch television and create a man cave or, a room, or as I do, I put a TV outside and sit there and watch the game. This is the big question now that I think is coming down the pipe, and I don't know the answer for it because for you to be still – there is a level of this, and Preston, tell me if you disagree. You're going to have to fund your team to get the players you want. And if you don't fund your team, you're not going to get the players you want. And if you don't get the players you want, your college football season, you're either going to learn to enjoy college football as a big whole and not say your team, or your team's just not going to be able to financially compete. And it stinks and it sucks and it's not what we're accustomed to, but that's where we're going, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Based on what we said, every team is going to have this certain amount of money that they're going to be able to share up to, and that's where the bonuses are going to come in. That's where the NIL is going to come in to provide extra. But again, the Supreme Court, and I keep saying this, the Supreme Court unanimously, 9-0. We're not a political show, but that means that Supreme Court's people on the right, very conservative and very liberal, all agreed that you cannot artificially suppress an athlete's market value. And that's what the NCAA has been doing. And they had this decision 10 years ago. And now they're like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? They could have been working on this for a long time.
Steve weighs in and says, Preston summed it up. If you don't want to pay it, somebody else will. I don't, maybe. But I say maybe because this is going to, I'm trying to do the math here quickly on what exactly the ticket prices are right now for different areas and what it would be going up, just to kind of see what you would be talking about doing here, because they're going to raise ticket prices at some point anyway. They always do. Has anybody ever said, ticket prices going down, we're going to give you a break this year, we're going to take $100 off? They go up. And there's people who are just going to flat out say, I can't do that. We can't pay that. It's just not in the family budget, not in the personal budget. And there's going to be a lot of people that follow behind and say, look, they've kind of outpriced me. You know, you're going more toward the corporate world than you are the fan world, if you will.
But there's no distinction between the fan and the corporate world. That's what I think people are misguided in believing. The corporate world has always been trying to make money off of fans from the beginning of this whole enterprise. I guess it's been laid more bare now, but that idea that this has not always been a corporate undertaking is patently false. This has always been something that they've been trying to do. And now that the NCAA and these institutions are actually going to have to run these establishments like businesses, they're really struggling.
I was trying to read our buddy, your teammate, Courtney Levitt, send us a text message in. It's long. So maybe if you want to send us that, call in. That's a lot. But let's get out to the phone lines real quick. Tim weighs in, wants to weigh in. Tim, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm all right. How y'all? I ain't talked to y'all in a while, but I was telling Jen, me and my wife been married 40 years. I mean, I'm a Tennessee fan, but I married a Gamecock, and I pull for the Gamecocks as long as they ain't playing Tennessee, and then it's a mess in my house. But anyway, they're getting it to where we always came to Williams-Brice and watch it, then go to Neyland and watch the game, come to other games and all this, that, and the other. They're getting it to where regular folks, I mean, I ain't poor. I make pretty good money, but I ain't well off by no stretch of the imagination. But, I mean, we're going to ball games. I mean, it's costing me $600-800 to go to a dang ball game, and they're getting it to the point where just regular folks ain't going to be able to go. That's pretty much what I was saying. Each time you go up to Knoxville, buy the room, then the tickets, then all the drinks and everything else you buy while you're there, it costs you a fortune. And ticket prices have always gone up. They used to kind of creep up. Now they're jumping up. And I got friends that they had season tickets since the 60s, and they got so expensive, they gave them up. It's just getting to where it costs too much money. And look, they in the business of making money. But, it ain't rocket science. It's just like the government, your household, whatever else. The more money you're spending out, the more money you got to take in. So it's passed on to somebody, and that somebody is us, the people that's buying the tickets and the drinks and all that stuff. So that's my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the call, Tim.
I'm going to leave you spiraling here because as Tim was talking, it had me thinking, I'm going to Alabama. I'm taking my kids to Alabama in a few weeks to see Alabama, South Carolina. I don't remember what the ticket price was, 110, 120, I can't remember. Maybe a less, maybe a little more, I can't remember. If I buy tickets to an Alabama game and it's jacked up, does that 10% that I buy to go watch Alabama and South Carolina, did I just donate money to Alabama's NIL?
Absolutely.
If I bought tickets to go watch Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
803-404-6100. We will get into a few other things here as we roll along. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner and the family have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And let me tell you something. One of the reasons that they are the leader is because they think about your roof 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I know you are not thinking about your roof 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But when a problem occurs, Mid-State Roofing is there for you. You will call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. Just give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. You can visit them online, midstateroofing.com. Whether it's a high-rise or a hospital, manufacturing or industrial, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And again, they do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's why they've been the leader for nearly 30 years. So if you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Bill Gunner for the Acton Law Firm, where they are ready to handle your tax issues. That's right. If you've been staying up at night, if tax issues have stressed you out, you're not being able to sleep, you're being burdened throughout the day, guess what? John Acton and his team, they have proven local solutions that are ready to help you get rid of this IRS issue. Nobody wants to navigate the IRS issue alone. They need some help. And John Acton and his team have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. So give them a phone call, 803-771-9800. Again, it's 803-771-9800. Whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, or Myrtle Beach, the Acton Law Firm is ready to help you. So call them today and take the first steps towards a peace of mind that you deserve in your life with the IRS. 803-771-9800. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Speaking of actual like football and games. Reminder, Saturday, starting at 2:30, we will be out at the Sound and Images lot on Bluff Road for Gamecock Game Day, getting you ready for, football, the stuff we actually really enjoy. Akron, South Carolina, this coming Saturday night, 7:30, and we'll start our coverage again 2:30 on Saturday afternoon over at the Sound and Images lot on Bluff Road. Stop by and hang out for just a little while with our crew there as we start the pregame show. 803-404-6100. So yesterday we had your buddy Strawn Strickland, former teammate, on to weigh in on his thoughts. Today, Courtney Levitt, your former teammate, calls in. Now, Courtney sent us a long text message. I wasn't really in the mood to read a lot of it because there was some things in there. So, Courtney, give Preston a little bit of a breakdown that you sent, and we'll discuss this for a second.
Guys, no, appreciate it. I honestly really appreciate Danny White's transparency in this, right? He is announcing a price increase, but the best part about it is the fact that what he's saying is that, hey, we're going to raise ticket prices 14.5%, but 10% of that is going to go to what we call a talent fee to help fund all the athletes, right? So, number one, I appreciate his transparency by saying, here's the reason why we are also raising prices, but we're also now going to be able to market and say, hey, we have 70,000 season ticket holders that are now basically contributing to the NIL program. And so what I sent you guys in the text, and I'd love to hear J.C. Sherber actually respond to this. I don't know how many people have contributed to the Garnet Trust, but this is a way of being able to up those numbers in a marketing ploy to say, hey, listen, we have over 150,000 entities, 75,000 that are corporate, 75,000 that are actually season ticket holders that are contributing to our NIL. So I think that this move is incredibly smart. I think that Danny White is also incredibly smart by making this the first school to actually announce this. And at the same time, we continue to talk about how athletic departments are just sitting on piles and piles and piles of cash. And in reality, that's not the case, right? If we take a look at how a business is run, you have your projected incomes and you have a 3, 5, and 7-year plan. And that's exactly what Ray Tanner has been doing. He's been taking a look at the projected disbursements from the SEC, our estimated contributions coming in from Gamecock Club, as well as private entities. Some of those have contractual dates that end, so it's not renewable income that comes in, but they're also earmarking those for all these projects. So if you really take a look at it, they might have a kitty bucket of about 20% that they put into a little pocket as a safety fund, but everything else, if they're expecting $51 million coming in, $40 million is going to be earmarked for something, whether it's capital campaign fund or contributions to the new stadium or a brand new facility or funding Title IX or some of the other sports that are not revenue generating. So I know that was a little bit of a rant, but I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on, again, maybe it's a little different approach because this is a guaranteed way of now being able to have Tennessee say that we've got 70,000 season ticket holders that are contributing to the NIL. And Bill, to your point, if you buy at Alabama, you're buying through the University of South Carolina to purchase those tickets. That's not a season ticket holder. So that doesn't necessarily relate to that 10% talent fee that would go towards Alabama if they announce it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it's a good answer for me. All right. Appreciate it. Preston, you got a thought on all that?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I don't think I wasn't arguing whether or not it was a brilliant marketing strategy. I wasn't arguing whether or not it was a great business idea. I was arguing the fact that the passes are going to be passed on to the consumer. That was my point. So yes, I agree. Yes, it's brilliant. Yes, now we have 70,000 people contributing. But if that's not my place to contribute because your job is to pay your employees, I don't want to pay for your employees. You make the money, you pay for your employees, which is the talent.
So what if they just rose ticket prices but didn't tell you it was a talent fee?
That's what everybody does. Why? That's what everybody does.
So I mean,
well, we'll get back into this. We're out of time in this hour. We got a lot to get to next hour. because we'll get back into it a little bit and continue to discuss this. Might be a little bit more tomorrow. Courtney, we appreciate it. Thank you for explaining that without me having to read that.
Guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
Without having to read that text, as you saw, it was long. But hour 3, Brian Edwards, Josh Harris on the way.
Taking a peek at those traffic conditions out there this morning. Still working that earlier tie-up I-26 eastbound at Piney Grove Road. We are seeing stretches of highway that are slowed down really for a couple of miles as you're heading eastbound. So expect some delays making your way in this morning. And a few clouds today once we kind of get the fog burning off. 84 will be our high today. 86 tomorrow, 88 and sunny on Saturday. Great day for college football. A little bit of patchy fog still out there this morning. Low beam headlights will help you. Headlights, I don't know why I call them headlines, but we'll say headlights. Those will make a difference for you this morning and keep it so that you are able to be seen. Right now, it is 68 on 107.5 The Game.
Rolling along. Sorry, having a conversation with Terry Ford there as we were cutting up and getting ready for our number 3, Preston Thorne, where we have covered Dow Loggains and Clayton White. We have talked some Atlanta Braves. We've even covered the Tennessee ticket situation. We're going to come back to this. We got a lot going on this hour. We've got coming up in the next segment, Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider to give his picks for the weekend. Josh Harris for the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge coming up this hour. But this is not something that's going away, and we'll come back to it. And the other part of it not going away, other schools are going like, let's see what happens at that school, and then we will.
Oh, yeah. Danny White ran up the hill first. He definitely ran up the hill first while the wind is at his back and they're winning and they just won the World Series. Let's go see what this. And a lot of other teams are like, you did what now? Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I'm with you. So, yeah, it's one of those things where other teams are going to look around and be like, oh, did he like – because Preston and I talked about this off air, and we're going to come back to this. If you just said we're raising ticket prices but didn't tell anybody where the money was going, would they be as upset? Or do people feel better because they know, 10% of this is going to pay players or do whatever it is?
Well, no, but see, you can't – we don't know where it's going.
Well, that
it's
too.
It's 10% talent fee. I don't know what that means. So when we talk about transparency, I guess.
I'm going to expound on this text message because I just like it. And reminder, we are teaming up with Hardee's for Hunger Action Month. You can go to any participating Hardee's and round up your bill to the nearest dollar. And that all donations go to the Harvest Hope Food Bank for students. Texter weighs in and says, what if? Now, again, I'm going to change the text a little bit just to fit. What if there was a talent fee on your Hardee's biscuit? The person making it. I mean, you're right, Texter. You go in, you get your bill $2.99 plus a little fee for the talent of the biscuit maker in the back. I mean, now you'd have Hardee's and Bojangles and McDonald's and Burger King all fighting to get the absolute best biscuit makers.
If there was a talent fee on the people that made our food, there'd be another issues. We don't like paying for things.
803.
We don't like paying for the talent on much of anything.
So, yeah, there you go. So we got that going. 803-404-6100. One of the things we talked about was Lenora Sellers and his play, if he is expected to play. Now, this is Dow Loggains from yesterday. Dow Loggains talking about whether he was asked whether he expected Lenora Sellers to play, Preston Thorne. Did we get an answer in this? Here's Dow Loggains yesterday.
Yeah, I've been JB's done. He's kind of taken a step and separated a little bit from the pack. That way, I think he and Lenora are starting to develop.
Let's try that one more time.
Yeah, why don't you give me a number?
8. I'm sorry. 8. Cold, fat fingers in here don't quite read quite the well.
And for him to do a little bit more tomorrow than he did today. That's what those are my expectations. Same way what we're telling him, get better each day. Same thing with your health. Make sure you're doing everything in your power. Spending extra hours getting ready to play a game. So it's not only just for you, but it's also how you set the standard of when you are nicked up or banged up on how we perform and how we train and how we do things. So because everyone's watching how the starting quarterback gets ready. So his job right now, and it's been very clear, when you have free time, when you're not in class and you're not doing those things, get your butt in the training room and you set the standard for how you attack this rehab.
What is that? I get it. I really do get it. But you hear that. What does that mean? Like, it's almost like, all right, though, maybe I'm being dumb. I don't know. But I'm being serious. I'm not trying to be funny. This almost more sounds like Lenora Sellers is injured, just hanging out at the room playing EA Sports College Football 25, ordering some pizzas like, I'm injured. Don't need to go work out today.
Yeah, what he's saying is that when you have these situations where, let's say, I don't know what the injury is, but you can get to the training room and get treatment, work yourself out, do all the things that, ice, heat, stem, cell, get everything moving around, work with the trainers. But there's also a limit to that. I mean, there's only so much you can do depending on what the injury is. And we don't know what it is. But what I'm assuming that Dow is saying is that Lenoris is getting as much treatment and as much time with the training staff as possible.
So that's Dow Loggains yesterday, a man of many words. And then I'm really interested. I did not hear this yesterday, and I did not read the transcription. Clayton White likes to use as few words as possible and likes to be polite, right? So he was asked yesterday about his former co-coach, his former, what do you want to call it, teammate, Joe Moorhead. They were together at Connecticut. So now he's got to answer about Joe Moorhead, and let's see how polite and how quickly he can get through this. This is Clayton White talking about facing off against Joe Moorhead in his offense on Saturday.
Yep, I have a lot of respect for Coach Moorhead. Obviously, two of my coaching years were at University of Connecticut, UConn, and I was on the offensive side of the ball, coaching running backs and special teams coordinator. Joe Moorhead was the former OC, quarterbacks coach that year. A lot of respect for his brain, how he looks at football. He looks at it completely different than most. Obviously, his track record, his coaching career speaks a lot for himself, and we'll say he's a creative mind and that loves to draw plays up, and great guy, great family.
Did he hit all of them?
Clay would just be running out of steam out of it. It's great family, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you want me to say, man? I don't know. I like to put it into the translator a little bit because when he talks about he's a creative mind, he likes to draw things up. That's exactly when he's talking about this 2 quarterback system. It's like, Joe, that's a stupid idea. But when you're the offensive coordinator, the head coach can say to you, hey, Joe, don't bring that in my office anymore. But now that Joe's the head coach at Akron, he's like, I've been waiting to run this 2 quarterback system for years, and they're going to see. They're going to see it's right. I finally have gotten a chance to do it. That's why you kind of might need to have these types of dudes on staffs so that a head coach can say, Joe, don't you ever bring that 2 quarterback system in here again. Get that. Joe, again with the 2 quarterback system, he's like, guys, I'm telling you, if you just put 2 quarterbacks in at the same time, there's a whole bunch of plays we can run.
This is Clayton White yesterday talking about.
Wait. And then Clayton was the running back coach. He's like, none of my running backs ain't going to be able to play, Joe. What are we doing? Get out of here, man.
This is Clayton White yesterday talking about Akron's 2 quarterbacks. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I mean, they have 2 different types of quarterbacks, kind of, very similar to what we had last year with Spencer and Lenoris. Obviously, give 2 different types of styles, but I think they're both tough. They're both respected. They both can make plays with their feet and their legs. I think they understand what Coach Moorhead is asking for in the offense and running it, and they do a good job of commanding the offense and being good leaders.
What did we learn there between Joe Moorhead and the 2 quarterback system from Clayton White?
I learned that Joe likes to draw stuff up on the board. I'm getting a good profile of Joe. Joe is somebody who's likes to do a lot of weird formations, and everybody's like, all right, man, whatever. And we'll see how it works,
803-404-6100.
I would note that he has not been good at Akron.
No,
his record is 5-22.
No, he's not. He's not. And we'll talk a little bit about that coming up next. Brian Edwards will join us. He's got some power rankings. I know you like some good power rankings.
I do.
We'll get into some power rankings with Brian Edwards when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, where those lazy days of summer and those spontaneous adventures have come to a close. It's time to be getting ready for getting kids to soccer, to football, to basketball, get people to dance, get them to recitals. You got so much you got to do. We're back into At Love Chevrolet, we're back into cool. That's right. Right now, you can feel the excitement around the building. You need to get out there to I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park and check out those 14 acres of brand new Chevys where there are amazing savings taking place right now. Go visit Love Chevrolet, check out the 14 acres, and talk with that sales staff who is absolutely tremendous. They'll walk you around a lot. They'll give you the answers you need to make an informed decision on that next big purchase. And whatever you might be looking for, whether it's a Tahoe, a Suburban, maybe you're looking for the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse, you're going to find it. Get out to Love Chevrolet today, and together, let's drive.
And for your morning commute, we're still seeing an accident I-20 east. I-26 eastbound. That's I-26 eastbound at Piney Grove Road, but the backup a couple miles there. So just allow a little extra time for that slowdown. We also have a report of a tie-up I-20 westbound there at exit 98 in Kershaw County. 84 is going to be our high. We're going to enjoy that. Some passing clouds. Tomorrow, 86, 88, and sunny on Saturday. Great time for football. But currently, it's 69, and the fog is starting to burn off a little bit here on 107.5 The Game.
Up and at 'em. You should already be, but just in case you're waking up at 8 a.m., good news. We got about 40 more minutes left of this program to get you through, and then we'll be on to a Football Friday, Preston Thorne, where we'll catch up with Chris Deering tomorrow and talk some high school football and get ready for South Carolina and Akron. But right now, let's get out to the phone lines where Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider joins us and is ready to roll along with another week of games. But first, at Vegas Insider and MajorWager.com, which you should make a part of your weekly reading, you need to know what's going on. And Brian, you guys have got some power rankings that are up that I'm just going to take a ballpark guess and say Preston and I will say that Florida is not a part of right now.
This is true.
Are we just out of stuff to say about Florida at this point?
Oh, man, it's never been as bad as it is. It's such a four-letter word show down there. I mean, interim president. The AD is so bad. He needs to go before Napier, but apparently the UAA, which is, a University Athletic Association, which is basically like the board of governors at other schools or what have you. And the UAA there's quotes from a beat writer saying that Strickland's not like being held, solely responsible for Napier's hire because it was unanimous among the UAA or some nonsense. I mean, the whole thing needs to be broken up. The UAA needs to have, cleaned house. It's such a mess. But anyway, gentlemen, I hope you all are having a great morning. South Carolina looked fantastic last week. If Sellers doesn't get injured, y'all undoubtedly win that game. But to be honest, I was thinking it was a long-term injury, and didn't I see that he's supposedly going to play this week? I don't think y'all should play him this week, though.
No, we've come. They haven't officially announced, and tonight, Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer will be on here on 107.5 The Game. Preston and I have played some clips today from the offensive coordinator. I'd be shocked if he's even dressed out to play. To be honest, it would be for him to get on the field. They've got a lot of time to get him healed, and we're also kind of hearing that no. He's not really in a position to be able to play this game, so it'd be quite shocking, to be dead honest with you.
Yeah, I saw that, and I didn't even believe it when I saw it. But where I was going with that is, if I'm South Carolina fan, like you guys obviously, and your listeners, I'm just thrilled he's not done for the year, because I went to bed Saturday, or really in the second half, I was thinking it might be a season ender. And look, Ashford can run, but he's really limited. And you got the open date next week. Yeah, he should not be dressed out, without a doubt. But, you see I got South Carolina 23rd, and I think I've got an elite front seven. And, my expectations for South Carolina and Arkansas, although Arkansas played bad last week, my expectations for South Carolina and Arkansas are a lot higher right now than they were, in mid-August.
I did see that it was 23rd. I said, you know what? We're not ranked in the AP. But in the Major Wager power rankings, we're there. So I'm here for it.
There you go.
Yeah, and mine are based on who I would make favored over whom on a neutral field tomorrow. Nothing else. I don't care what team's record is. I care about part of who they've played is what goes into it. But it's just based on, if I'm the odds maker and Coach and Gunner are coming to me with stacks of $100 bills to bet on games, who I'm making favored over whom. That's what my power rankings are.
Those are on neutral fields, though, right?
Correct. Topeka, Kansas.
Okay. All right. Because I just looking, you got say Michigan at 25. You'd have South Carolina favored over them. And Nebraska and Dylan Raiola at 28. And maybe this will make you a little bit happier. Memphis, who just took down Florida State at 29. Just kind of give you an idea of some of the ways he's got that. You can go to MajorWager.com. Go to MajorWager.com and you can check that out. As Brian putting that out on Tuesday, and you can check out all the great content there. But let's give you some content right now with Brian talking about it. You've got some games you like. And let's start in the NFL tonight. The New England Patriots at the New York Jets.
Yeah, like Arkansas and South Carolina, thinking a lot more of the Patriots than I was, a month ago. They beat the Bengals on the road, a 7.5-point road underdog. Had the lead a good chunk of the game against a pretty good Seattle team last week. End up losing in overtime, but pushed in terms of being a 3-point underdog. And I really haven't been that impressed with the Jets. They got smoked at the Niners. I don't think their defense looks anywhere near as good as it was last year. Now they find a way to get the win and cover against the Titans, but, they owe an assist to Will Levis and his carelessness with the football. And Ramondre Stevenson is running like a beast, and Jacoby Brissett has not committed a turnover. And, I hate giving out, league stats after 2 games, but whatever, I will. I'll just say that Pats are so far number 2 in the NFL in run defense and number 5 in scoring D. So I will go with the Pats, and I normally don't like road teams on short weeks, but it's not like a flight from Boston to New York. I don't even know what that flight is. I doubt it's more than an hour, probably less than an hour. And so I don't really think of it as a long trip on the short week. So give me the Pats plus 6. Now, there's a couple books at 6.5. If your number's 6.5 and you can buy the half point to 7 at just minus 120 juice, probably want to do that.
All right, so you got that. What he's saying is the Pats 6.5, push it up to that key number of 7. So that's what you got for the pros. Let's look at the college game, and let's start with Cincinnati minus 3.5. They are taking on Houston, and then you also always one of these big lines with a little bit of a twist to it. Indiana minus 28, taking on Charlotte.
Yeah, so I like Cincinnati. They've got Indiana's old quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, and he's playing great. 867 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he's also got a couple of rushing touchdowns. Corey Kiner, running back, 326 rushing yards, 6.8 yards per carry average. My former Gator receiver, Xavier Henderson, 22 catches, 289 yards, 1 touchdown. I made the Bearcats minus 7 against Houston, and they're only 3.5. I saw South Point just moved to 3, so maybe be patient. I really don't consider much of a difference between 3.5 and 4. Maybe it'll go to 3, and you can get 3. And if it moves to 4, that's fine. The only drawback is we push on 4, as opposed to 3.5. So maybe you wait around, see if you can get a 3. But regardless, I like Cincy at minus 4 or fewer.
And then you mentioned Indiana and Charlotte where you're buying it down, yeah?
Yeah, my fault. Charlotte's down to a third-string quarterback, not very good to begin with. Indiana looks great. I figured they were going to be vastly improved under Kirk Cignetti. They go out to UCLA and win 42-13 last week. I don't like laying big numbers like this, but I think Indiana smokes these guys. The number's 28.5. I'd buy the half point to 28. Obviously being a key number. Curtis Rourke, QB, looking great. 74.3 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns without an interception, and a rushing touchdown. Give me IU laying 28.
Let's go to the ACC. You've got 2 games there, Georgia Tech, and then Cal. Cal coming back to the East Coast. I've already been to Auburn this year, and Cal's playing FSU.
Yeah, that's the only slight concern with Cal, having to fly across the country, twice in 3 weeks. But I'm going to go with them anyway because FSU doesn't look like they have a pulse. And as a home favorite under Mike Norvell, they're 8-13 against the spread, whereas Cal, during Justin Wilcox's 8-year tenure as a road underdog, 18-9 against the spread. And overall, as an underdog under Wilcox, whether home, away, or neutral, they're 30-15 ATS as an underdog. Mendoza's playing really good at quarterback for Cal. 5-1 TDI-INT ratio. They get Jaden Ott back, their stud running back, who's been limited the last couple of weeks, but their backup, Javian Thomas, is averaging 7.8 yards per carry. And FSU, since Jordan Travis got hurt last year, they have failed to get 300 yards of total offense in 6 straight games. I think Cal wins outright, so Cal plus 2.5.
That would go over well in Tallahassee. That would go real well.
Right?
That's what everybody would love.
And, my bad. I forgot on Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech either plus 10 or 10.5 at Louisville at last look. Brent Key's been great since taking over for Jeff Collins as an underdog. He's 13-3 ATS with 10 outright wins. And Haynes King's playing like an All-American. 76.4 completion percentage, 962 passing yards, 6-1 TDI-INT ratio, 158 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, 6.3 yards per carry. I like Georgia Tech catching the big number.
Let's go to the SEC for a minute, and the one of them that you do like, we'll get to Tennessee and Oklahoma in just a second, that you do like, Mississippi State at home, getting the 6, getting the 6 against Florida.
Yeah, Mississippi State looked awful last week at home to Toledo. They get routed. They were actually down 38-3 in the third quarter. But Florida looks awful. They've quit on their abysmal coach. I don't need to say any more about it. It's awful down there. Napier is a favorite at Florida, 3-8-1 ATS. If you go back to his last 2 years, Louisiana, his last 29 games as a favorite, 9-19-1 against the spread. And the one good thing I will say about Mississippi State is the transfer quarterback from Baylor, Blake Shapen. He looks really good. 7-1 TDI&T ratio, 70.1 completion percentage. He's got a really good weapon in Kevin Coleman, another transfer. And Florida, they won with Tebow in Starkville, and they won with Mullen in two very close games. But going back 3 or 4 decades, Starkville is a house of horrors for Florida. And Trey Wilson, Florida's best playmaker on offense, missed last week's game. They haven't even given an update on him yet this week. I'd say he's very questionable. I like Mississippi State. I think they probably went outright.
I'm just putting it out there, but hopefully that one's with the head, not with the heart on that one, because we understand your feelings about Napier. Final one, this is not a pick that you necessarily are all in on. You say you got to lean. Big one in the SEC. Tennessee travels to Oklahoma.
Yeah, so the DraftKings look-ahead line last week started at 2, went to 3, then 3.5, then 4, then 6 by Saturday night, and then now it's at 7. So I just kind of think the value's been sucked out of Tennessee. I mean, if I had to pick it, I'd probably still go Vols as long as it doesn't go north of 7. But I'm going to do the team total over 32.5. Not a huge opinion because I think Venables, will have a great defensive plan and a better, defense than Tennessee's faced yet. But that Tennessee offense with Nico looks like a juggernaut. So I'll still go team total over 32.5 for a little bit. And then last pick I've got on college, Tulane -3 at Louisiana. Tulane's played some heavy hitters last 2 weeks, only down 5 at Oklahoma last week, mid-fourth quarter. And we're leading K-State most of the game. And when it was tied, they were driving. K-State got a sack and like a long scoop and score, which was the game-winning points at Tulane a couple weeks ago. Tulane back to a G5 opponent. I think they take care of business -3.
Brian, we always appreciate it. Best of wishes to you. You're dealing with the situation down there with the Florida Gators. We'll try not to harass you too much about that. We look forward to catching up with you next week.
We've all been there, gentlemen. All right, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
Appreciate you.
Take care. Boy, poor Billy Napier.
I would just like to say that I have my cousin, shout out to cousin Ted. He's also a Florida alum. And much like Brian, I can't tell whether they're happy or sad that this is happening. They're both just kind of watching this thing like, this is good. This is a good thing.
Let it burn.
Yeah, that's exactly the feeling I get. Shout out to you, Ted.
803-404-6100. We'll come back next. Josh Harris of Darlington Raceway joins us. Jen, it's actually a special day. We got a birthday to celebrate.
I know we do.
Yeah, we got.
You put that on Twitter this morning.
We got a Reggie Anderson. We'll mention. Yeah, Preston just rolled his eyes. He's completely part of this contest now. Did you see that? There you go.
I think he likes to win.
Yeah, he does. We'll get into all that with Josh Harris when we come back. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. And I'll tell you what, right now, you heard yesterday the Fed is cutting some interest rates. Who knows what that's going to do for the housing market, but it sounds like it's going to be good. The only way you can really know? By contacting the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Because right now, you can learn more about the Community Reinvestment Project. That's right. If you're looking to move or live in Richland County and you're looking to purchase a home, there's no better time than now to be contacting Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru, to see what he can do for you and your family. This Community Reinvestment Project is a really excellent opportunity. So call today, 803-719-1005, and get more information on what the mortgage guru can do for you. First Palmetto Bank is locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands, which means you get quick and precise underwriting. So go ahead, call today, 803-719-1005. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
And we're still working those two accidences. Oh my gosh, I've been working with Bill too long. I need a day off. I-20 westbound at exit 98. We do have a report of an accident there. And then I-26 eastbound in Piney Grove, trying to get that cleared up, but still significant slowdown, backed up a good probably 3-4 miles. So allow a little extra time and just keep listening to us to entertain you in your delay. 84 for the high today, 86 tomorrow, sunny and 88 for Saturday. And we're trying to hit 70 right now on 107.5 The Game.
And it's shades of Keselowski and Ambrose all over again. Busher gets on the inside of SVG and says, you pushed me around earlier, I'm going to give it back. Incredible on this final lap. Van Gisbergen's only got one real shot left at it. Maybe two. Thinks about it into turn 6. Did Busher save the best to last? Or has Van Gisbergen got a little payback? He gets wide. He loses it almost. He has to gather it up, but he can't do it. Chris Busher wins at the Glen in the most spectacular style.
Yeah, that was good. That was an amazing finish to that race. That is quintessential NASCAR. That's how it's supposed to be. You don't dump somebody, you fight them, you get somebody gets a little bit loose, you get in there and you get the win.
There's no accidents.
Exactly. None at all.
Josh Harris, do you agree with an overly excited Jen Jensen at 8:36 on a Thursday morning about last week's race?
I'm in complete agreement. I think that was exactly what we want to see. Good, hard racing, a little bit of contact. You know, NASCAR has been a contact sport, but neither guy wrecked each other. They took advantage of the opportunities that presented themselves. You know, SVG got underneath Chris on that final restart going into one, put himself in position, and then, you know, he made the mistake going through the bus stop, which gave Chris the opportunity to catch up to him, put a little bumper to him, and and you add in the call from Lee Diffie on NBC, man, it just gets you pumped up.
I can listen to him all day.
Where is Lee Diffie from?
England, isn't he?
He's originally from England, but he's I think he's been he's been over here and been a citizen in the U.S. for like 14 years.
So, yeah.
That was the first thing people said. What the first race after he joined the broadcast team, like, why is there a British guy calling the races? And
because he knows how.
I'm not saying he's bad. I just love it. You're right, but I love the fact that we've got a British guy calling our NASCAR races.
Yeah, I mean, because he's done IndyCar for years. I mean, he's such a talented broadcaster. I will say I would love to have him together with Darrell Waltrip, because talk about polar opposites as far as, you know, accents, that would be hysterical.
Whiplash.
Uh-huh.
This is what I will say. I am learning things because when I saw this result, I picked SVG last year in Chicago because I thought he was a road racer, and when I saw this result, I said,
"Oh yeah, he definitely is."
Those road racers.
His background.
So I'm learning things. Learning things, and that's why I'm in second place now.
Mm-hmm.
You're right on the heels there, Preston.
Yep.
We're getting close. We're getting close, Josh. Still some ways to go.
You're 2 points from Reggie right now. Reggie's in the lead with 99. Preston's at 97. Josh at 90. I am at 86, and Bill's at 83.
This is embarrassing.
I will say that it was one of those weeks, though, where you get, you know, Reggie gets 4 points with a 19th place finish.
Correct.
Like, how often does that happen?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, really, our best finish was 12th, and that was Larson. It was terrible for playoff drivers.
Yeah, we stunk last week as a cumulative
collective
group. Yeah, we were very bad last week. But before we get into picks, final week of the round of 16. Jen, I'll start with you. Biggest surprise, and the person, without giving your pick away, the person that has to have it this weekend.
Well, I mean, Hamlin's sitting below the cut line right now, and he's only a few points behind. But that surprises me. You know, Harrison Burton sitting in 16th. Okay, I kind of get that. But Keselowski being below the cut line, I think those two need to perform well. This is a good track for Denny, so he should perform well and be okay. I never would have expected to see Austin Cindric sitting second in the points right now as far as the playoffs are concerned. So it's I think a great race to be a cutoff. It's a lot of things can happen. They're using the tires that they did in the spring, so I think that the racing should be good. I love the night race at Bristol. I don't know. Thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly Denny's an easy one to point to from a surprise, but I think it's a collection of the guys that came into the playoffs at top of the standings just not performing well in these first two races as a whole. And then you have guys like Austin Cindric who've jumped up there, a guy like Alex Bowman who's run really well the last 2 weeks, collected a lot of stage points, and has put himself in a strong position to advance. I think it's kind of a combination of those two things together.
I sure would hate to see Truex not at least make this first cut, but bless him. He has just struggled. He's got a 10-race stretch that has just been – it just seems like he's snake bitten. I mean, it's just been a terrible run for him. So I would love to see him be able to put together a full race and at least advance, being this his last season.
Yeah, I would too. I think Martin's done so much for the sport, and you want to see him go out as strong as possible. And it's not that they haven't had speed. He's just been caught up in a lot of unfortunate incidents that aren't necessarily his fault on the track and with the way the car has run or mechanical problems. So would love to see him get up there, but I'm just looking at the bottom four right now. You got Hamlin, Keselowski, Truex, and Harrison. Unless something really surprising happens, there's gonna be some guys that don't make it out of this round that no one picked.
Mm-mm.
Real quick, and then we'll make picks. So just quick thoughts. Bubba Wallace signing the extension with 2311 Racing. Expected, not expected, not a huge.
Yeah, no, to me, no shock there. He's in with them. I think they've been doing well. They're gelling. I think that's good. I'm kind of curious to see if they end up buying that other charter that's available, because I think that was still in discussion. I haven't heard anything finalized with that. Have you, Josh?
No, it's been pretty quiet, but I'm the same with you. Not surprised with Bubba's extension. Great fit on that team, and you take just the points in the regular season. He was up in the top 16 just without a win. He was one of those like Buescher that missed out on the playoffs this year. So not surprised, and hope they continue to build a strong team. And I think that third team is likely if 2311 can get to an agreement with NASCAR on their whole charter situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's make some picks. I've never been less excited to do this pick segment, given that I am basically out of this. I've got to come through with a miracle right now. Reggie at 99 points, Preston at 97. Josh, you're in there. You're in there. 90. Jen's closer than I am at 86. I will admit, I think this is the second time ever that I've picked last. The amount of pressure that I feel now, knowing that all the drivers are in front of me, is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that I stayed up last night till 2 a.m.
Yet and still, you're going to pick.
That's right.
What a stall.
Give me Denny Hamlin.
Of course you are.
I'm going down in flames with my guy. I don't care what he does.
Now, I just want to ask, is there a reason besides the fact that you're in love with him and you're president
I
of his
just
fan club?
ride with your guy.
Okay.
Fall apart.
So you don't have any stats on him, like how he does it?
He's really good at Bristol. He is really good at Bristol. And also, and I know we're running
He's
short
one of
on
the last
time.
two.
Yeah, he's really good. And he said this week he thinks they can go and win. Just give me my guy. All right, that takes us to Jen. Jen, who are you going with?
I'm going with Christopher Bell. He does pretty well there.
All right.
So that's my hope.
Josh?
Kyle Larson.
Yep.
Good pick.
He was also in my top 3.
Good pick. And that brings us to a big week for Preston Thorne. 2 down. He's there. He's just got to pass. Does he go up top? Does he go down low? Where does he go? Where are you going, Preston Thorne?
I'm going for it again. Can't fake desperate. Brad Keselowski. Give me him again.
Good call.
Got to try and get in.
So we have picked all of Reggie's picks.
Excellent.
For,
nice.
so he has Ty Gibbs. That's all that's left for him.
Perfect.
Good.
But when you're the winner, you kind of have to have those slim pickings.
Reggie, at some point, you just have to be like, and it's his birthday, so we're going to be nice, but he's led this thing really almost since July of 2023.
Yeah, he's been pretty dominant.
I mean, so Preston, we're pulling for you.
All right, here we go.
Because Reggie's old. Josh, we always appreciate it, man.
Always have a fun Thursday morning with you guys. Appreciate it.
We're always glad to have
so
you, buddy. Be safe. Have a great weekend. We'll come back. We may even sing a little happy birthday to Reggie Anderson. Who knows? We'll do something funny. We'll find a way to get through it. And we're going to give away soccer tickets, South Carolina Marshall, tomorrow night. We'll do that as well when we come back. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where Mid-State Roofing thinks about your roof 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're ready to help you with a phone call. That's right. If you discover a leak and it's 2 a.m., it's 5 a.m., it's 8 a.m., guess who is there to save the day? Mid-State Roofing. That's why they've been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for 30 years. Larry Leitner and his team are dedicated to making sure their customers' operations stay dry and running long into the future. So if you discover a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. That's not just here in Columbia. They'll roof your home, your business, whether you're in Myrtle Beach, whether you're in Florence, maybe you're in Charleston or Greenville. Mid-State Roofing has you taken care of. So again, give them a phone call. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. 803-356-1919. Give them a phone call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Is this where we sing Happy Birthday? We tie in a radio.
Happy birthday to you. This was from Bluey.
No. That is appropriate for Reggie Anderson. You couldn't have picked better happy birthday music for the old Reggie Anderson.
I was hoping that we'd get more Bluey voices in there, but I figured it came from the show. That was appropriate.
It's solid. It's solid. Anything Bluey, I approve. Though I will say that I do think Bluey has slipped in the power rankings to Super Kitties. I will say that.
Oh, no.
But Bluey's still holding strong, but Super Kitties is making a move.
Super Kitties.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough It's tough as you get older because you get attached. I got attached to a show or two.
They
and then
move on. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I thought we was watching Blues. Like, nah, we're not doing.
Hannah Montana.
Yeah, it's like I thought we liked that, and then they move forward.
And then you got to. I say we as if I'm following y'all, but then you got all of a sudden like sneak in a few episodes of Bluey just to they come in to watch in the room, or the significant other comes in like, what are you doing? Like, nothing. TV remote stuck. TV remote is stuck.
Very solid point. What do you do when your child moves on, but you're not ready? I'm not ready to give that one up yet.
Or you're making your child say, no, you will watch Bluey today.
Yes. Like I said, I do believe Super Kitties has maybe made a move in the power rankings, but we'll see. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. Keeping us up to date.
Happy birthday to Reggie Anderson today, who I believe is in he is to the age where we can say he's closer to 60 than he is 50.
Nice.
Just keep that in mind, Reggie, as you listen.
He's still young and still quite intelligent. And then there's Bill, who might be younger, but anyway, I'll stop.
I have never been around anybody who's labeled Reggie Anderson intelligent.
Oh,
Ever.
heavens, yeah.
Ever.
That's because you don't hang
Nor
with
young,
intelligent
also,
people.
by the way. Nor young, I should say. But we do wish Reggie a happy birthday. And at some point, Jen, I have to concede that Reggie may not actually be cheating.
And at the end of the day, you can make a pick that makes total sense. Their record there, that type of track suits them. Somebody gets collected in something. I mean, truly, all the playoff drivers did horribly at Watkins Glen. That shouldn't have happened. So it is luck. It really is. It's not that Reggie's fantastic at this. It's not that you are or I am. It's a lot of luck.
There is that element.
Just keeps winning though.
Have to be.
I know. And
I'm being humbled. This is luck. I was completely lucky for 2.5 years. Real quick, what kind of cake? Reggie Anderson seems kind of like a boring guy. What kind of cake do you think he'd normally get? One layer chocolate cake, just regular?
Something. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't have a read on that. I got to go through my scouting report.
We think he's simple. But maybe he
does something
secretly
probably does
sassy.
Make his kids fix his own cake. I could see that.
If they're good cooks, then that works out pretty well.
Poor Joshua having to deal with Reggie as his dad. I can't imagine. But happy birthday, Reggie. We do love you, and we're glad that the last time we saw you was almost a year ago. Makes things a lot better. So Reggie Anderson, everybody, happy birthday to him. Closer to 60 today than he is to 50. But we all love having him a part of the show, and we are glad that when we initially started this show, Jen, a little over 8 years ago, that he would have his son call in on the way to school.
Yeah, that was fun.
No, it wasn't.
No, it really was.
He would have Joshua call in to give me grief each and every morning.
And that was actually award-winning.
It's true.
We're pretty close to being award-winning.
Get that back on there. Anyway, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Jim Harbaugh yesterday went down a path.
As he's known to do.
I guess I get his point. Let's let you hear Jim Harbaugh yesterday getting a little biblical on us as he discusses his football team. Here's Jim Harbaugh talking about how he may go out.
He's a great coach. I mean, one of the best I've ever been around. Like Moses, I'm gonna die leaning on my staff. Greg Roman, Jesse Minter, Ryan Fick, and those coordinators are, in my opinion, some of the best in the business. And
there you go. Jim Harbaugh yesterday.
Greg Roman's been with him forever, man. He's been with him the whole time. He was with him in San Francisco. He went to the other Harbaugh when he was at Baltimore. He does believe it. And I will say, Jim is very loyal to his staff. He is. So if he says it, we gotta take him up on that. And Also, by the way, don't look now. 2-0.
They're not a bad team.
So
they're not a bad. He stepped into it couldn't have opened any better for him to have the need to get out of Michigan. What is it? Before the Grim Reaper showed up and land and have an incredible landing in San Diego where he walks into a situation with a pretty good quarterback.
Bill, you just made a grave age-old mistake, and you have shown your age.
Uh-oh.
They are the Los Angeles Chargers now.
No, did I say San Diego?
You did.
And that one's been forever. And I just can never.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. You won't forget it. As I always say, I just can never remember my father saying the Brooklyn Dodgers, like, hey, man, they haven't played in Brooklyn in a long time.
For me, I think it is the Chargers. For some reason, I've been able to adjust to the Raiders. But I do wonder what is the hardest thing to say. We might have to come back to that. What is the one team like the Guardians, San Diego Chargers, the Oakland Raiders? We'll maybe go down that path today or later on this week. Tomorrow we'll get you ready for Akron, though.
Let's get ready, man. Let's handle business.
And I tell you what, let's give away a pair of tickets right now. Caller number 4, South Carolina Marshall number 6, soccer, Friday night, the Graveyard. We'll give away a pair of tickets right now. Caller number 4, 803-404-6100. I'm going to repeat this on that. We'll see. All right, call right now, 803-404-6100. Get yourself a pair of tickets to Friday night's match against Marshall, South Carolina Soccer. Tony Annan will actually be in with us tomorrow as well. But let me tell you about Old Timey Meat Market. Oh, you hear my voice raise when I start talking about Old Timey Meat Market. There's few things in my life that get me more excited than a great steak. Their Italian chicken skewers. Lately, I've been hooked on their bacon cheddar burgers. Let me tell you, whatever you're looking for this weekend, whether you're celebrating a football game, whether you're watching some NFL, whether you're just hanging with the buddies, Old Timey Meat Market is your very first stop. They've got 3 locations you can go to: South Congaree, the St. Andrews Road store in Irma, or the Lexington store, where I can pretty much guarantee you'll find me at. Old Timey Meat Market creates a meat buying experience that is non-grocery store style. They want to know your name when you walk in the door. They want to tell you about new specials, things of the day they've got. They want to help you and your family out. They want to be part of the community. It's why I love being a part of Old Timey Meat Market and why you need to stop by today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.